Rally cars are mental, but not all rally cars are even playing the same game. You've got machines sliding sideways through forests at 120 miles per hour, launching off jumps and somehow not ending up wrapped around a tree. But here's what most people don't know. Not all rally cars are created equal. There's actually a whole pyramid of classes. From absolute weapons at the top to brilliant little entry-level machines at the bottom. And if you've ever wondered what separates a Rally1 car from a Rally2, or why some blokes are driving what looks like a hot hatch whilst others are piloting something that sounds like it's trying to rip a hole in the space-time continuum. But here's the thing, the class system isn't just about speed, it's actually one of the most clever bits of motorsport engineering you've never heard about. Because the FIA built this entire pyramid so that whether you've got 50 grand or £500,000, you can go rallying. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it all works, what makes each class different, and why Rally1 cars just ditched their hybrid systems for 2025. Let's break it down. Rally1, the absolute weapons. Right, let's start at the top. Rally1. These are the big dogs, the headline act. The cars you see when you watch the World Rally Championship on telly with names like Sébastien Ogier and Thierry Neuville behind the wheel. Rally1 cars are purpose-built rally machines. We're talking tubular steel space frames wrapped in composite bodywork that vaguely resembles a Toyota GR Yaris, a Hyundai i20, or a Ford Puma. But make no mistake, underneath, these things share about as much with a road car as a fighter jet shares with a paper airplane. Here's what you need to know about Rally1 in 2025. The engine, 1.6-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. Sounds small, right? Wrong. These things pump out over 380 horsepower. That's more than a Porsche 911 Carrera. And they do it whilst running on 100% sustainable fuel, which is the FIA's way of saying, we care about the planet, but we're still going to make things absurdly fast. The weight, 1,180 kilograms minimum. That's about 87 kilos lighter than they were in 2024. To put that in perspective, that's like removing a fully grown bloke from the car. Less weight means faster acceleration, sharper handling, and more violence when you're chucking it sideways through a Finnish forest stage. The big change for 2025. No more hybrid. That's right. From 2022 to 2024, Rally1 cars had a hybrid system. A little electric motor that added 100 kilowatts of boost. But it was expensive, complicated, and honestly a bit of a nightmare to maintain. So the FIA binned it. Now it's just pure petrol power with a 35mm air restrictor to keep things somewhat sane. Four-wheel drive, obviously, with 2 mechanical differentials and a 5-speed sequential gearbox that shifts faster than you can blink. Top speed? Top speed is around 125 miles per hour, depending on gearing. But top speed isn't really the point. The impressive bit is they can hit 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds on gravel. Gravel, not tarmac. Gravel. Rally1 cars compete in the FIA World Rally Championship. Only 3 manufacturers are in the game right now. Toyota Gazoo Racing, Hyundai Motorsport, and M Sport Ford. And only Rally1 cars score points for the Manufacturers' Championship. If you're driving anything else, you're not getting your team any silverware. The cost? Well, you can't actually buy one. These are factory-built machines. But if you could, you'd be looking at well over £500,000. Probably closer to £1 million once you factor in spares, engineers, and the small army of people required to keep one running. Rally1 is the pinnacle, the top of the pyramid, the absolute business. Understanding the cars is step 1. Step 2 is understanding why drivers sometimes push and sometimes don't. That only makes sense once you understand how the WRC championship actually works. And that's the next video. Rally 2, the backbone of rallying. Now let's talk about Rally 2. If Rally 1 is the Premier League, Rally 2 is the championship. Still bloody fast, still incredibly competitive, but a bit more accessible. Rally 2 cars are the backbone of the entire rally world. This is where most professional rally drivers spend their careers. This is where young talent cuts their teeth. And this is where privateers, blokes with a bit of money and a lot of passion, can actually compete at a high level. The engine, 1.6-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder. Similar size to Rally1, but with a 32mm restrictor instead of 35. That means less air, less power. You're looking at around 290 horsepower. Still rapid, but not quite as mental as Rally1. The weight, minimum 1,230 kilograms. A bit heavier than Rally1, which makes sense given they're slightly less powerful. 4-wheel drive. Just like Rally1, sequential gearbox, proper rally car. The big difference, Rally 2 cars are customer cars. You can actually buy one. Companies like M Sport, Skoda, Hyundai, and Citroën build these things and sell them to teams and privateers. A brand new Rally2 car will set you back somewhere between £150,000 and £220,000. Not cheap, but compared to Rally1, it's almost reasonable. Rally2 cars compete in the FIA WRC 2 Championship, which runs alongside the main World Rally Championship. Same events, same stages, but a separate championship. There's also the WRC 2 Challenger class, which is for drivers who haven't won the championship before or aren't factory nominated. It's a way to keep things competitive and give up-and-comers a fair shot. Why Rally 2 matters? Because it's the sweet spot. Fast enough to be exciting, affordable enough to be accessible, and competitive enough that you can actually make a career out of it. Most of the drivers you see in Rally 1 today came up through Rally 2. It's the proving ground. Rally 3, the four-wheel drive entry point. Right, now we're getting into the grassroots. Rally 3 is where things start to get a bit more affordable, but don't let that fool you. These cars are still proper rally machines. Rally 3 cars are four-wheel drive, just like Rally 1 and Rally 2, but they're smaller, lighter, and less powerful. The engine, 1.6-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder with a 31mm restrictor. You're looking at around 215 horsepower. That's about the same as a hot hatch you'd buy from a dealership, but in a car that weighs just 1,210 kilograms. The cost. This is where Rally 3 gets interesting. The FIA capped the price at €100,000, excluding tax. That's about £85,000. Still a lot of money, but compared to Rally 2, it's a bargain. Rally 3 cars compete in the FIA WRC 3 Championship and the Junior WRC. Junior WRC is specifically for young drivers aged 18 to 30, and it's a one-make series. Everyone drives the same car, a Ford Fiesta Rally 3. That levels the playing field and puts the focus on driver skill, rather than who's got the biggest budget. Why Rally 3 matters? Because it's the entry point for four-wheel drive rallying. If you're a young driver trying to make it to Rally 2 or Rally 1, this is where you start. It's affordable enough that you don't need a factory deal, but competitive enough that you're learning real skills. Rally 4, the two-wheel drive hero. Now we're into two-wheel drive. Rally 4 is where a lot of club-level drivers and regional championship competitors live. These cars are brilliant. The engine, 1.6-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder with a 30mm restrictor, about 210 horsepower. But here's the kicker, it's only going to the front wheels. The weight, 1,080 kilograms minimum, lighter than Rally 3, which makes sense because you're not lugging around a four-wheel drive system. Two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, specifically, which means you're not relying on all-wheel traction to get you through corners. You're using momentum, weight transfer, and a whole lot of opposite lock. It's a different style of driving, and honestly, it's brilliant to watch. Rally 4 cars compete in various national and regional championships. They're not part of the main WRC support classes, but they're hugely popular in places like the UK, France, and Scandinavia. The cost? Cheaper than Rally 3. You're looking at somewhere in the region of £60,000 to £80,000 for a new one. Used examples can be had for much less. Why Rally 4 matters? Because it teaches you how to drive. Without four-wheel drive, you can't just power through corners. You have to be smooth, precise, and clever. A lot of the best rally drivers in the world started in two-wheel drive cars because it forces you to learn proper technique. Rally 5, the entry level. Finally, we've got Rally 5. This is the bottom of the pyramid. The entry point, the place where you start if you've never rallied before, but you've always wanted to give it a go. Rally 5 cars are two-wheel drive, just like Rally 4, but they're even simpler. The idea is to use as many production parts as possible to keep costs down and make maintenance easy. The engine varies, depending on the car, but you're looking at naturally aspirated or small turbo engines producing around 150 to 180 horsepower. Not a lot, but enough to have fun. The weight, not strictly regulated, but these cars are generally around 1,100 to 1,200 kilograms. The cost? This is where Rally 5 shines. You can get into a Rally 5 car for under £50,000. Some used examples go for even less. It's the most affordable way to go rallying. Rally 5 cars compete in national championships and club events. They're not part of the WRC, but they're hugely important because they're the gateway. If you're a 20-year-old with a dream and a bit of money saved up, this is where you start. Why Rally 5 matters? Because motorsport needs an entry point. If everything costs £500,000, no one new ever gets in. Rally 5 keeps the sport alive by making it accessible. The pyramid in action. So here's how it all fits together. You start in Rally 5. You learn the basics, how to read pace notes, how to manage a stage, how to not bin it into a tree. If you're good, you move up to Rally 4. You get faster, more competitive, and you start winning. Then Rally3, four-wheel drive, more power, more speed, more pressure. Then Rally2. This is where you're competing at a professional level. This is where factory teams start to notice you. And if you're one of the best in the world, you make it to Rally1, the pinnacle, the dream. It's a brilliant system, and it's one of the reasons rallying is still thriving whilst other forms of motorsport struggle to attract new talent. Why? 2025 is a big year. 2025 is a massive year for WRC because of the hybrid removal in Rally1. The FIA made this call for a few reasons. Cost. Hybrid systems are expensive, really expensive, and with only 3 manufacturers in Rally1, the FIA needed to make it more affordable to keep them in the sport. Reliability. The hybrid units were a nightmare. They broke a lot, and when they broke, it was a massive headache to fix. Simplicity. Without the hybrid, Rally1 cars are simpler to run, easier to maintain, and more reliable, which means more cars finish rallies, which means better racing. The trade-off? The cars are slightly slower, but not by much. The FIA reduced the air restrictor from 36mm to 35mm and dropped the minimum weight by 87 kilograms. So the power-to-weight ratio is roughly the same. You're still looking at mental speed, just without the electric boost. The bottom line. Rally1 is the pinnacle. Factory teams, 380 horsepower, no hybrid, and speeds that'll make your eyes water. Rally2 is the backbone. Customer cars, 290 horsepower, and the proving ground for future stars. Rally3 is the four-wheel drive entry point, affordable, competitive, and perfect for young drivers. Rally4 is the two-wheel drive hero, brilliant for learning proper technique and having a laugh. Rally5 is the gateway, cheap, simple, and the reason rallying still has a future. It's a pyramid, and it works.